I was just looking for the bathroom. That's all it was. A simple need, a quiet house, and a hallway with too many identical doors. I'd only arrived at my cousin's place in the countryside that morning. She'd hugged me tight, bubbling with excitement to have me stay for the weekend. Her husband had offered a polite handshake, firm and unreadable, with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He was polite, sure, but distant, reserved. The kind of man who was always watching, always calculating. I waited until she left to run a quick errand before I decided to find the bathroom. I walked down the hallway, half distracted, barefoot, and still unfamiliar with the layout of the place. The first door I opened was a linen closet. The second changed everything. The door creaked open and I froze. There he was, Lucas, my cousin's husband, standing by the dresser with only a towel slung low around his hips. His skin glistened, fresh from the shower, and beads of water still traced down the ridges of his chest. My heart slammed into my ribs as I tried to blink, to apologize, to move, but I couldn't. My body betrayed me. My eyes roamed without permission. He turned slowly at the sound, and our gazes locked. For a moment, the world stopped spinning. The air between us thickened with something electric, dangerous. His expression didn't shift. He didn't rush to cover himself or shout. He just stood there, calm, composed, almost like he'd expected me. Sorry. I finally stammered, my voice hoarse. I was looking for the bathroom. But even as I said it, I couldn't pull myself away. His eyes traveled over me, just once, and I swear it was the most deliberate thing I've ever experienced. Like he was stripping me bare, piece by piece, with nothing more than a glance. The towel slipped slightly lower as he took a step forward, and I panicked, gripping the doorknob like a lifeline. Down the hall. Last door on the right, he said, his voice low, velvet-wrapped danger. I nodded, swallowing hard. Right. Yeah. Sorry again. I shut the door too fast and leaned against the wall, my skin burning. What the hell was that? I stumbled to the bathroom, turned on the tap, and splashed cold water on my face, hoping to erase the heat building in my chest. But it was pointless. The image of him, dripping and unapologetic, was seared into my brain. And worse, far worse, I didn't want to forget. Something passed between us in that moment. Something unspoken, reckless, and impossibly tempting. That door should have stayed closed. But now that I'd opened it, I couldn't help wondering what else was waiting behind it. The next morning was quiet, almost too quiet. Birdsong drifted in through the kitchen window, and sunlight painted soft gold streaks across the tiled floor. My cousin had gone out early, mumbling something about the farmer's market in the next town. I barely registered her words. I was still replaying the image of Lucas from the night before, like it was tattooed inside my skull. That damn towel. That look. I was standing at the kitchen counter, fiddling with the coffee machine like a nervous wreck. My hands were clammy. Every tiny sound made me flinch. And then I heard his footsteps behind me, barefoot, slow, deliberate. I didn't need to turn to know it was him. I could feel his presence like static against my skin. You figured out how to work that thing? He asked, his voice smooth like warm syrup. Almost, I muttered, avoiding his gaze. I think I pressed the wrong button twice. He chuckled and stepped beside me. Here. Let me. I moved slightly to make room, but not too far, maybe not far enough. His body brushed mine as he reached over to adjust the settings. I caught a whiff of him. Earthy, clean, masculine. It was disarming how natural it felt to be that close. I should have backed away. I didn't. He handed me a mug when it was done. Our fingers touched. Just for a second. Maybe less. But in that second, I forgot how to breathe. My eyes flicked up to his, and he didn't look away. Neither did I. There it was again, that spark. Or maybe it was a test. A game. Either way, it was dangerous. We sipped in silence for a bit, him leaning against the counter, me sitting on the stool, trying to pretend I wasn't hyper-aware of his every move. The quiet buzzed between us, filled with everything we weren't saying. "You seemed rattled last night," he said suddenly. I stiffened. "Yeah, well, walking in on your cousin's half-naked husband tends to do that." He smirked, but there was a softness behind it. "Didn't seem like you minded." I looked at him, heart thudding so loud I was sure he could hear it. "Should I have?" Lucas tilted his head, studying me. "Maybe. Or maybe you liked what you saw." The room went still. My hands tightened around the coffee mug. I wasn't prepared for honesty. Not his, not mine. "I didn't come here looking for trouble," I said, my voice lower now. "But maybe trouble found you," he murmured, stepping closer. I didn't move. Couldn't. His hand brushed against my arm, lightly, casually, like it meant nothing. But it did. It felt like the start of something. A warning. A dare. I stood up too quickly. I should go get some air." He smiled, slow and knowing. Doors always open. And as I walked out, I realized he wasn't just talking about the porch. He was talking about him. The sky split open just after 7. Rain hammered against the windows like it was trying to get in, and thunder rolled across the countryside with a force that made the floorboards tremble beneath my feet. The lights flickered once, twice, then died completely, leaving the house in a thick, humming silence broken only by the growl of the storm. I stood in the hallway, half-drenched, my shirt clinging to my skin. I had run out to grab something from the car and gotten caught in the downpour. Now I was dripping on the hardwood floor like a fool, teeth chattering, heart pounding. Not just from the cold, but from knowing I was alone in the house with him. Lucas appeared from the living room, holding a candle. The soft glow flickered across his face, casting his sharp cheekbones in shadows and turning his eyes into something darker. Something unreadable. "You're soaked," he said. "Yeah, brilliant observation." He chuckled and handed me the candle. "Take your shirt off. You'll get sick." I hesitated. His gaze didn't flinch. Slowly, I peeled the wet fabric off, exposing skin that felt raw under his eyes. He disappeared down the hall and came back with a towel. I expected him to toss it to me. Instead, he stepped closer and began patting me down, his hands working slowly over my shoulders, my chest, my stomach. Every touch burned. "Lucas," I whispered, unsure what I was even going to say. He didn't answer. He kept drying me like I was something fragile, something important. When he reached my neck, his hand paused, and his eyes locked on mine. "This shouldn't feel this right," he said, voice hoarse. And then he kissed me. It was sudden, like lightning, sharp, blinding, electric. His lips crashed into mine, but it wasn't just hunger. There was desperation in it. Months, maybe years of silence, buried feelings, lies we told ourselves. His hands moved to my waist, gripping like he was afraid I'd vanish. I didn't push him away. God, I should have. Instead, I kissed him back. Because in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the betrayal. Not the risk. Not the fact that he wore a ring that connected him to someone who shared my blood. What mattered was that I felt alive. His mouth was warm, his breath ragged. He kissed like he meant it. Like he needed it. And maybe I did too. Maybe I was starving for something I'd spent years pretending I didn't want. We stumbled back toward the living room, candlelight dancing around us, our shadows long and trembling on the walls. The storm outside roared, but it had nothing on the one breaking loose inside me. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, he touched my face gently. "I've thought about this more times than I care to admit," he said. And I knew right then, this wasn't a mistake. This was an eruption. But I knew we could not be together. Because he is married to my cousin. His breath was hot against my neck. My name, was barely out of his mouth, broken and trembling, when it happened. That voice. Her voice. From the front door. "Lucas." I froze. The sound sliced through the heat like ice. My body went rigid beneath him, my pulse roaring in my ears, drowning out everything except the scream of "this is it." We were caught. No time to untangle. No time to think. My legs were still wrapped around him, my shirt half off, his hands still gripping my waist like he'd never let go. The weight of him was everything, his body pressing me into the mattress, his wedding ring digging into my hip, and still, somehow, all I could feel was her. Her voice again. Closer this time. "Lucas, I'm back." Every muscle in my body screamed to move. To shove him off, scramble for my clothes, run. But then, he tightened his grip. "Don't," he whispered, breathless. His mouth brushed the shell of my ear, a soft command laced with desperation. "Don't move." "What?" I turned to him, wild-eyed. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. But he just stared at me, held me, like the world wasn't falling apart around us. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't even pretending to feel guilt. He was holding me like I was the only thing that mattered, and it made no damn sense. She was here. She was calling. Her keys were probably in the door already. "What are you doing?" I hissed. But Lucas, he didn't blink. He didn't flinch. His thumb brushed my cheek, and for a moment I saw it, real fear. Not of being caught. Not of her. But of losing me. "You think I don't know what this means?" he murmured. "You think I don't know we've crossed every line? I'm not stupid. I'm not heartless." He leaned in, his forehead resting against mine, our breath mingling, rapid and uneven. "I can't stop," he said. "Even if it ruins everything, I can't let you go." And right there, beneath that weight, beneath that chaos, something broke in me. Not from fear. Not from shame. But from the terrifying truth that I believed him. That maybe he wasn't playing me. That maybe somehow, in all this mess, I'd become his escape, his anchor, his undoing. The front door creaked open. Footsteps echoed down the hall. I should have shoved him off. I should have screamed. I should have run. But I didn't. Because for the first time I realized, he's just as caught as I am. And neither of us had a clue what was about to happen next.